Team RWBY is back.
All right, let's make this a good one.
Then I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, fight! Don't mess with Team RWBY! Or at least Team RW.
Yep, that's our Team RWBY. That's right, folks, these openings are getting more random. Greetings all, my name is Kontrol. I'm a professional artist, a huge fan of back in the day Marvel and DC Comics, and a sucker for a good animated TV show. TV animation is a complicated and expensive proposition these days. It is worth it though. When solid creativity pays off, a show can really get big and start showing up everywhere. Lunchboxes, backpacks, keychains, baseball caps, socks. Yeah, you heard that last one, right? This is especially true for colorful, all-ages action series like RWBY, where the merchandising opportunities are basically limitless. I mean, what little boy or girl wouldn't want to get their hands on their very own Rooster Teeth branded scythe? Am I right? Maybe settle a few scores at recess? Which is why I was a little surprised that RWBY, for all its popularity, was not represented at all in the world of video games. Mere moments later, I was even more surprised to read that not only did Team RWBY have their very own cross-platform video game, they also turned up as playable fighters in Arc System Works' Blaze Blue cross-tag battle. RWBY Grim Eclipse was apparently released as a Steam game in summer 2016. It came out for PS4 and Xbox in January the following year. The story goes that it was originally a fan-made project that Rooster Teeth, the producers of the show, picked up and expanded on with their own dev team. Now, finding out for the first time that an official RWBY video game exists almost 4 years after its release is not a good sign. And everything I've seen and heard about Grim Eclipse suggests a project that was intended to sell mostly based on the RWBY license. Not AAA graphics, story, and play mechanics. I think hearing from someone with hands-on experience with the game might be useful here. Hey Mello.
What's up, Kontrol?
What did you think of RWBY Grim Eclipse?
Well, personally, I think it has a conceptual grandeur that's exquisitely embellished by the lush, multi-layered performance.
What?
We are talking about the new Radiohead album, right?
Okay, you haven't played it either. So, let's see what the Shady Town elders at Metacritic have to say on the subject. Only 2 reviews from the professional critics. 50 out of 100 and a 40. Well, 50 isn't so terrible, but 40. What did this guy have to say?
Graphically, the game looks extremely bland. And whilst the animations look fairly good, the character models look awful. It just doesn't feel finished at all, and that's not just the visuals. The entire game feels rushed with blah 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 blah.
Okay, so yeah, it's not looking good, kids. Even the user reviews are out for blood. Now, surely Blaze Blue cross-tag battle fares better. I mean, look at it. It's just beautiful. And their visual take on the RWBY characters is fantastic. Also, I believe it's made by the creators of Guilty Gear, which I do actually play. Well, back in the day, that is. And those games were poetry in motion, man. Hey, Mello, what do you think of Blaze Blue, kid?
It's good, as long as it's cooked properly. Sometimes
Metacritic it is, then. Let's see. Okay. Alright, nothing embarrassing. Although the Blaze Blue series usually ends up in the 80s range of overall score. Apparently something isn't quite on point here. I'll check it out. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Okay. It seems that Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle simplifies the combat by making special moves and combos easy to pull off for beginners. Exactly the kind of thing that Blaze Blue purists would obviously not be thrilled with. But RWBY fans who just want to get their yang on will probably find it a better option than Grim Eclipse. The more expensive option though, as it's still a full $50 on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Side note, someone on the Blaze art team seriously needs to cut down on the hentai.
That's a huge bitch.
Now, my own experience with RWBY is based strictly on the TV show. I watched the first 2 volumes when they appeared on Netflix many years ago. I'd never heard of RWBY, but I recognized the fight choreography and editing style from the bonkers Dead or Alive vs. Final Fantasy vids by Monty After a bit of Googling, I found out that Monty was indeed the creator of RWBY, and sadly deceased. I mostly forgot the show existed, but did intend to return at some point and catch up. When the intelligent clicker suggested adding RWBY to the channel a few weeks ago, I finally sat down and watched all available volumes. RWBY has an easy charm about its presentation. A lot of shows would have trouble navigating the wild shifts in tone and over-the-top spectacle this series serves up. But RWBY manages it with a cast of characters who are overflowing with likability. And it has pretty sturdy dialogue. It's actually outstanding in isolated moments. My initial impression of the first hour or so wasn't great. RWBY is cut pretty blatantly from the Harry Potter template, and the animation had the word PS2 ping-ponging back and forth in my head the entire running time. But it was consistently amusing, and that kept me watching long enough for the pretty layered story to emerge, and an obvious increase to the show's budget. By volume 4, the graphics had polished up nice and shiny. Maybe someday they'll go back and remaster the jank early episodes, maybe. Anyway, drawing this RWBY pinup presented an unusual challenge. I like to base my fan art on the default original design of the licensed property. When I search for character reference, I specifically ignore third-party artwork. Part of the fun of creating my own pinups is the process of solving the hurdles my way. I never want to end up drawing an interpretation of another artist's work. The problem here is there are very few clear screenshots out there from the early volumes of the show. Basically, image searching for RWBY scoops up more artist interpretation than actual grabs from the show, including some truly stunning line art from a manga version. My solution was the availability of high detail statues that tend to be photographed from multiple angles. It's so convenient. Did this lead to discrepancies? I mean, the statues themselves aren't exactly perfect replicas of the design aesthetic from the show, so did this lead to potential problems, frustrations, issues? Well, no, of course not. Yeah, not everything you see here jives with the show proper, because the statues don't always jive with the show proper. The end result is a pinup that has a bit more of my own personal design flourishes than normal. I just hope it doesn't affect my Metacritic fan art score too terribly. I did get some of the design quirks right, that's for sure. Like Weiss being left-handed, and that random twist of hair on top of Yang's head. Alright, well, this is the part where I thank you all for watching, all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the art, or any of the accompanying weirdness, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. And share with all the RWBY and BlazBlue fans in your orbit. Next week, Evil returns to the channel. Well, more than usual, that is.